Kyle Richards sat on the edge of the couch, her face visibly tense, her fists clenched at her sides. The energy in the room was palpable, thick with emotion, confusion, and hurt. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with fury. Her eyes burned with unspoken betrayal as she stared across the living room at her husband, Mauricio Umansky, who sat beside their daughter, Portia. His eyes were closed, his expression pained. He was silent. Portia, only a teenager, sat curled beside him, her head bowed, tears clinging to her lashes. Kyle's words cut through the silence, like glass. "How long have you two been hiding this from me?" she demanded. Mauricio didn't respond. Portia sniffled and reached for her father's hand, her grip shaky, unsure. "This isn't just about a missed dinner or some late-night phone calls," Kyle continued, her voice rising. "This is about trust. This is about family. This is about me being the last person to know that everything is falling apart." Mauricio opened his eyes slowly. He looked at her, regret already carved deep into his expression. "Kyle," he said gently, "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to make things worse." Kyle laughed bitterly. "Worse? Mauricio, it's already worse. Look at her," she said, gesturing toward Portia, who still wouldn't look up. "She's scared. She doesn't even know how to process this. And neither do I." The room fell silent again. The elegant decor, the framed family photos, the plush white sofa, the soft light filtering through beige curtains, suddenly felt cold and hollow. Kyle's voice dropped, not in volume, but in intensity. It was the kind of voice that trembles just before it breaks. "I've been holding this family together while you were out smiling for the cameras, building your brand, showing up for everyone but us." Mauricio blinked slowly. He wanted to explain. He wanted to say that he had been trying. But he knew that anything he said now would sound like an excuse. Portia finally raised her eyes. Her lip quivered as she looked at her mother. "Please stop yelling," she whispered. Kyle's anger flickered. She turned toward her daughter and softened for a moment. "Baby, I'm not yelling at you," she said. "I'm just hurt." "I know," Portia said, "but it's making everything worse." Kyle sat back slightly, her breathing heavy, her chest rising and falling as she processed her daughter's words. For a moment, the room was still. Then Mauricio leaned forward. "I never meant for this to happen," he said. "I've made mistakes. I've taken you both for granted. I thought I was doing what was best for us. For the future." Kyle shook her head. "What future, Mauricio? The one where we sit in the same room and don't even talk? Where our daughter learns that silence and distance are how you survive love." Mauricio lowered his gaze. There was no defense. No justification. Kyle continued, more softly now. "Do you even realize what this has done to me? To us? Every time I tried to reach out, every time I planned something for the family, I felt like I was dragging a ghost behind me. You weren't there, not really." Portia wiped her cheeks and whispered, "I hate when you two fight." Kyle stood up and walked slowly to the window. Outside, the garden looked peaceful. Mockingly peaceful. The kind of serenity she hadn't felt in months. She turned back around. "We used to be a team, Mauricio. We used to laugh. We used to love, without needing to say it. And now I don't even recognize you." Mauricio stood too. He hesitated, then reached out a hand. "I still love you, Kyle." She didn't move toward him. Then why did it take me breaking down in front of our daughter to hear that? Portia stood too now, caught between her parents like a fragile rope pulled from both ends. "Please," she said again, "can we just talk like we used to?" Kyle looked at her daughter, her heart breaking. "I don't know if we can." The silence returned. But it was a different kind of silence now, one of consequences, of facing what's left after the damage is done. Mauricio sat down, head in his hands. Kyle remained standing, strong on the outside, crumbling on the inside. "I begged you," she said quietly. "I begged you not to let this happen." Mauricio's voice was hoarse. "I know. And I failed you." Kyle stared at him. She saw the man she had built a life with, the man she had trusted. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel connected to him. He felt like a stranger wearing a familiar face. I don't want to raise our daughter in a home where love feels like punishment, Kyle said. Portia stepped closer. Mom, I know you're hurt. I know Dad made mistakes. But can't we fix this? Mauricio looked up. I'll do whatever it takes. Kyle finally sat back down, slowly, beside her daughter. She didn't look at Mauricio. I don't have any answers tonight. But I know one thing. I need honesty. Real honesty. Mauricio nodded. Then let's start with that. The clock ticked in the background. Not loud, but noticeable now. Every second felt like a reminder of time wasted, of words not said. Kyle exhaled slowly. She looked over at Portia, who was now sitting between them, a silent bridge trying to hold what little remained. If we do this, Kyle said, we do it for real. No more pretending. No more saving face for the cameras. No more hiding things. Mauricio nodded again. No more. But Kyle wasn't done. And if I ever find out there's something else you're not telling me, this ends. I understand. Portia looked from one parent to the other. I just want to feel like a family again. Kyle touched her daughter's cheek. You didn't do anything wrong, sweetheart. I know, Portia said, but I still feel broken. And there it was, the sentence that broke them all. That simple confession of pain, spoken with such innocence, shattered the last piece of denial in the room. Kyle leaned forward, hugging her daughter tightly. Mauricio reached over and rested a hand on both of them. A triangle of sadness, love, and desperation. No one spoke for a long while. The camera fades, but the story doesn't end. Because families don't end in moments like these. They fracture. They suffer. They rebuild. Or they don't. And sometimes, the most powerful scenes are the ones that aren't neatly resolved. The ones where love and the air inside the house was different that evening, dense with tension, tight with unsaid things. Kyle Richards stood in the hallway just outside the living room, her eyes fixed on her reflection in the mirror. Her chest rose and fell with the slow, labored rhythm of someone holding back a storm. Inside, Mauricio sat on the armrest of the couch, staring at the fireplace though no flame burned. Portia was curled up under a beige throw blanket, her knees pulled into her chest like a child trying to disappear. The sound of Kyle's heels echoed as she walked into the room. Neither of them looked up. So this is it, she said. Mauricio turned. Kyle. She didn't let him speak. 3 weeks of silence, 3 weeks of smiles on Instagram, interviews, press, and you couldn't find 2 minutes to look your own wife in the eye and say what you were really thinking? Portia flinched. Mauricio stood slowly. I didn't want to do this in front of her. Then when? Kyle's voice cracked. When she's away at college, and I find out through a headline. Or when we're sitting in silence at another event pretending everything's fine. Kyle, please, he said, voice low. No, Mauricio, she snapped. You don't get to ask me for calm. Not tonight. Not when you've treated this family like it's some inconvenient obligation. Portia finally whispered. Please stop fighting. But the pain had reached its boiling point. Kyle wasn't just angry. She was wounded. You remember our anniversary last month? She asked, looking straight at Mauricio. The dinner you canceled because of some last-minute obligation? Mauricio sighed. I was closing a major deal. I told you that. You told me that, Kyle said bitterly. But you didn't tell me about the woman from your office who was there. The one whose name you deleted from your phone. Mauricio froze. Portia looked up, wide-eyed. Kyle's voice dropped. Yeah. You didn't expect that, did you? I'm not blind, Mauricio. I've just been pretending not to see, because I didn't want to destroy Portia's idea of a perfect home. I didn't cheat on you, Mauricio said quickly. I swear. Emotionally, you already did, she said. And honestly, I don't know what's worse. Portia's voice trembled. Are you getting divorced? Kyle looked at her daughter, the one person she had tried so hard to protect from all this. She walked over and sat beside her. I don't know, she said honestly. But I can't keep living like this. I can't keep loving someone who's halfway out the door. Mauricio's face twisted with regret. Kyle, you're not the only one who's been hurting. No, she shot back. You feel abandoned? Neglected? Try watching your husband disappear into business trips, staying late, brushing you off, then smiling on TV like everything's perfect. I didn't realize how far we drifted, he admitted. But I never meant to lose you. Intent doesn't erase damage, Kyle said. And we're all broken now. Portia wiped a tear and whispered, What about me? Did either of you think how this would affect me? Kyle pulled her into a hug. Baby, I think about you every second. I just wanted things to go back to the way they were, Portia said. I miss when we'd all eat dinner together. When you'd laugh. When Dad would tell jokes. Kyle blinked back tears. I miss that too. Mauricio knelt in front of them. I do too. I didn't know how to stop the distance from growing.
Kyle shook her head.
You didn't even try. There was silence again. Heavy, unforgiving. I went through hell last year, Kyle said quietly. Health scares, anxiety, trying to balance it all. And where were you? Working. Traveling. Smiling for everyone else while I was breaking inside. I didn't know you felt that alone, he said, guilt lacing his words. You never asked, she replied. Portia looked between them, overwhelmed. Can we just stop? Please. I don't care who's right. I just want peace. Kyle kissed her forehead. You deserve better than this. You deserve the truth, even if it hurts. Mauricio stood and walked to the window. Maybe we need space. Kyle stiffened. You're saying you want to leave? I don't know what I'm saying, he admitted. But maybe space would stop the bleeding. Kyle stood too. Or maybe it would just finish the wound. The fire was gone from her tone now. She looked tired, like a woman who had fought too long without rest. I can't be the only one holding this family together anymore, she said. You either show up or you step out. Mauricio turned to face her. What do you want me to do?
Fight, Kyle said.
Fight for us. For her.
For me.
Not just with words, but with actions. He stepped closer. Then tell me where to start. Kyle didn't answer right away. She looked over at Portia, who sat wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. Start by showing up, Kyle finally said. At dinner. At therapy. At home. Start by acting like this family matters more than your brand. Mauricio nodded slowly. Okay. Kyle crossed her arms. This doesn't mean I forgive you. I don't expect forgiveness. Just a chance. The three of them stood quietly for a moment, the fractures between them still visible, but not quite fatal. Portia broke the silence. Can we eat together tonight? Just us. Kyle smiled weakly. Of course. Mauricio nodded. I'll order something. Whatever you want. Portia looked up at both of them. Can we just not pretend anymore? No pretending, Kyle promised. No more masks, Mauricio added. They sat together at the dining table that night. The conversation was cautious, measured. But it was real. And sometimes, that's all a broken family needs to begin healing. One honest meal, one unfiltered look, one fragile truth laid bare. Later that night, after Portia had gone to bed, Kyle and Mauricio stood in the kitchen. I don't know if we'll make it through this, she said. I'm not going anywhere, he replied. She looked at him. That's not enough. Not anymore. I know, he whispered. But it's a start. Kyle nodded slowly, her heart heavy, her soul tired, but a spark of something, maybe hope, maybe exhaustion, flickered in her eyes. Outside, the night was quiet. Inside, silence no longer meant absence. It meant possibility. The door clicked shut behind Kyle Richards. She didn't slam it, she didn't need to. Her silence screamed louder than rage. Her eyes, wide with disbelief and betrayal, locked onto the two people seated across the room. Mauricio sat rigid on the couch. Portia, their daughter, was curled in the corner of the sectional, her face streaked with tears. Kyle walked forward, every step measured. Not furious. Not hysterical. Just cold. Calculated. Controlled. That was more terrifying. I want someone to start talking, she said. Right now. Mauricio's eyes darted to Portia. Then back to Kyle. Kyle, I.
Not you, she snapped.
Her. Portia's voice cracked. Mom, I didn't mean to upset you. Kyle's face twitched. Didn't mean to? Her tone shifted from frost to fire in a single breath. Do you have any idea what you've done? What you both have done? Mauricio stood. Kyle, it was a misunderstanding. She spun on him. A misunderstanding? You took our daughter to her house. You let Portia meet her. Without telling me. Without even asking. Portia buried her face in her hands. I thought you knew. Dad said you were okay with it. Kyle laughed bitterly. Oh, so now we're lying to our daughter too. Mauricio stepped forward, palms raised. It wasn't like that. I didn't plan it. You think that makes it better? Kyle interrupted, her voice shaking. You think that makes me feel less betrayed? There was silence. Kyle turned her gaze toward Portia. Sweetheart, she said, softening. You are not the one to blame here. You were caught in the middle of something you didn't understand. Portia peeked through her fingers. But she was nice to me. Kyle closed her eyes. That's not the point. Mauricio crossed his arms. You always think the worst of me. I was trying to make things smoother, not sneak around. Smoother? Kyle echoed, her voice rising again. You introduced her to the woman who's been texting you at 1 a.m. and you think that's making things smoother? Portia looked up, confused. Texting. Kyle held her husband's gaze. Oh, you didn't tell her that part, did you? Mauricio said nothing. Portia began to cry again. Kyle dropped into a chair, emotionally spent. Do you know how many times I've forgiven you, Mauricio? How many nights I stayed quiet, giving you space, thinking maybe I was the problem? Mauricio looked at the ground. You're not the problem. Kyle's voice dropped to a whisper. Then why do I feel like I'm the only one trying? Portia stood. Please stop, she begged, voice trembling. You're tearing everything apart. Mauricio took a deep breath. Kyle, I never cheated on you. I want you to know that. Kyle stared at him, expression unreadable. But you lied. You lied to protect your reputation. You lied to protect her. Not me. Never me. Mauricio swallowed hard. I didn't want to lose you. You already did, she replied, voice barely audible. Portia reached for her mother's hand. What happens now? Kyle squeezed her daughter's hand. We don't lie. We don't pretend. And we stop shielding each other from the truth. Mauricio sat on the edge of the coffee table. I want to fix this. I know I hurt you, both of you, but I want to be better. I need to be better.
Kyle didn't respond.
Mauricio continued. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. The shows, the deals, the appearances. I lost myself. But I never stopped loving this family. Kyle blinked back tears. Love is not a marketing campaign, Mauricio. You don't post it when it's convenient and hide it when it's hard. Portia stood between them now, her arms out. Can we just try to heal? Even a little? Kyle looked at her daughter. Healing starts with truth. Mauricio. He nodded. I'll cut contact with her. I'll go to therapy. Family counseling. Whatever it takes. Kyle's expression softened, but just slightly. And no more secrets. Not one. Agreed, he said. Portia took both their hands. Please don't give up. Kyle whispered. We're not giving up. We're starting over. Kyle Richard stood in the dining room, arms crossed tightly across her chest, back straight, eyes fixed on the floor. A storm lived behind those eyes. Years of swallowed emotions, misunderstood silence, and buried pain that had finally reached the surface. Across the room, Mauricio Umansky sat at the edge of the couch. His elbows rested on his knees, fingers locked, head low. He looked older than he had in weeks. Not because of time, but because of the weight he now carried. Portia sat between them, her face pale, her breathing shallow. She looked like she wanted to disappear, to evaporate into the cushions, to go back to yesterday when everything still felt normal. Kyle finally spoke, her voice like glass. Do you realize what you've done? Mauricio didn't respond. I trusted you, she continued. Not just as my husband, as a father, as the person I built my life with. Mauricio looked up. Kyle, I didn't. No, she cut in. Don't give me the polished explanation. Don't pretend you just stumbled into this. Portia's lips quivered. Mom. Kyle's voice softened only for her daughter. I'm not mad at you, baby. I know you're confused. But I can't stay quiet anymore. Mauricio stood. I never meant for this to turn into a war. Kyle turned to him. It's not a war. It's a wake-up call. I kept giving you grace, hoping one day you'd realize what you had. I do realize it. She tilted her head. Then why did you choose her over us? He flinched. I didn't choose anyone. I made a mistake. I let something go too far, emotionally, but I never crossed a physical line. That doesn't make it better, Kyle said. It makes it worse. You let someone else live in the part of your heart where I was supposed to be. Silence. Portia whispered. Are we going to be okay? Kyle walked over and sat beside her. We're going to get through this, one way or another. Mauricio ran his hands through his hair. I've been overwhelmed. I let the fame get in my head. The praise, the attention. I forgot what it means to be present. You forgot how to love, Kyle replied. That's not true, he said.
Kyle stood again.
Then show me. Prove to me that I still matter. Not in front of cameras. Not on Instagram. Here. In this house. With her watching. Mauricio walked toward them. I want to fix this. Kyle's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. Words aren't enough anymore. Portia hugged her mom tightly. Please don't split up. We're not going to make any decisions tonight, Kyle whispered. But we need to be honest. And honesty hurts. Mauricio knelt beside them. Then let's hurt. Let's bleed. But let's do it together. As a family. Kyle closed her eyes. You'll have to rebuild what you tore down. From the ground up. I will, he said. Whatever it takes. She opened her eyes. No more secrets. None, he promised. And if I ever feel like I'm second again, it's over. I understand. Portia finally smiled. Weak but real. I just want us to laugh again. Kyle brushed her daughter's hair from her face. We will. But first, we cry.